Welcome to the Metaphysics Hour. I am your host, Rory Colgan. This is episode 26. We will be discussing, well, not really discussing, because I would have to hear things from you to be able to discuss it. We will be talking about, meaning you and I, the book of the commonly enlightened. As you can see, this is another book that I have written, but it differs quite a lot from the other works. I guess there's 6 or 7 books out there that you can find at my website, innerhealthtoday.com, or Amazon, or some crazy person in Great Britain who sells my kids' coloring book for like $80. I think retail was only like $12. So the fact that somebody's trying to sell it for $80 is pretty awesome, I guess, or not, depending if you're the person that bought it through that venture as opposed to buying it through me. I'd give it to you for $12. Any case, that is a slight distraction from the topic for which we have gathered. And I know your time is precious, as is mine. I'd like to do these metaphysical hours in about 10 minutes, so let's stay true to that theme and idea. So how does this book differ? Well, first, what do you see it? At first, it's kind of hard to see. It's like, did I just hold up a thin sheet of paper? And in some cases, yes, this is like 36 pages if you count the fold. So maybe 15 pages if you go from the center fold. Not very thick, but done so intentionally. One of my favorite works is called the Tao Te Ching, very ancient book from our standards, I guess, or from our standards, that has like 88 verses, and I may be wrong about that, but 88 paragraphs or sayings or truths expressed in a variety of sentences, but nothing ever over a full 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper typed. That would just be way too much for the Tao Te Ching. And so you can look at my book, if it's not shining directly into the light, and see that I have a similar idea behind it. This book is meant, as you can kind of tell from the title of it, it's meant to help anybody reach enlightenment. I have discovered over the years, through personal experience and watching others and teaching people for many years, that enlightenment is something that most people don't even think about, simply because it's put on such a high pedestal, hence the title, Common Enlightenment. In order for you or I to reach enlightenment, we need a certain parameter or a certain strategy to achieve it. Now, remembering from the universal law of infinity, that's not always true. Sometimes it just happens. And you could say that it just happens, and that's true from an outside observer, maybe even for the person. They have an awakening. Eckhart Tolle supposedly had a similar experience that he recounted in The Power of Now. He was just a normal dude, except fighting depression, and then one day woke up, boom, slammed by the Holy Spirit, the full light, and became illumined. At least from the words that he writes, he seems pretty much fully illumined. But again, it's hard for us in our culture and our time period to respect that, and work with that type of idea, because most of the deities are dead and gone if they were ever human. And like Jesus, like, man, he couldn't even have a mother who got impregnated by a dude. Had to be by the Holy Spirit, which is God. So even though that could be argued quite extensively and shown how that was intentional to create the pedestal, to put enlightenment out of your reach, to put God consciousness out of your reach. And we're entering into an age where that is no longer necessary. You, I, anybody can achieve it. I was not born the son of a virgin. I was born the son of a woman. And there's a big distinction, but also at the same time, really, there's not. That's the point of this book. The 15 things that I have done that have produced what I call a common enlightenment. So what is a common enlightenment? Common enlightenment means that you have the capacity and the direct experience of your whole mind. Now, me personally, I don't use my whole mind every moment of every day. That would be called enlightenment. That would be full enlightenment. Common enlightenment is to where you understand it all, you can see it all, and On a good day, you're there. On a bad day, you're still doing really good relative to most other people and relative to the past you, but you're not fully illumined. I still cry, I still get angry, I still get really insecure. Well, not really insecure, but insecure nonetheless. And I've sometimes become unthoughtful, habitual, lustful. And those could go on and on and on. So I have those moments. And so I'm not saying that what I have written here comes from a consciousness that is completely pure. Hence the term come in, come in, come in, come in. Okay, common means a lot of, many of, not very special. But this is the beauty of it. And this is the truth that I really want to convey to you, is that something common, like enlightenment, doesn't deflate its worth. So like if you and I grew up in capitalism, which if you're in America, you kind of did, but that's a different story. Let's just assume we grew up in capitalism, the real thing. So hard for me to swallow that, man. Anyways, we grew up in capitalism, and in growing up in capitalism, we had this concept that supply and demand are that which creates price. If people have a lot of it and want it, but there's so much of it, the price is low. Water is a great example. Oil is an example also, but relative to water, oil is still very expensive, or, processed oil is expensive too. All of that being considered, if you look at the supply, say, of enlightened people, you could flip on Fox, see NBC, CNN, what are some of the other ones? CBS, ABC, NBC. You watch the news shows there, you'll have this sensation that, there's actually not very many enlightened people. That's what you'll get from those particular sources. So the supply, as opposed to what's out there, at least we're not talking about those people. Now, the number is high, much higher than what the news would ever report. My goodness, I don't think there's a newscast I've seen that they've talked to somebody that was commonly enlightened. And you can tell if somebody's awake, aware, and processing. And the common enlightenment, again, to get back to that point, is something that means that you have experience of your whole mind. Everything that the mind is capable of, you've had experience with. So we're talking astral projection, we're talking lucid dreaming, we're talking heavenly states of bliss, of nirvana, in meditation, in sex, in bike riding, in herding cows. Whatever it is that you do, you can have an experience where every holy master that has ever been known to start a religion, and the books have endured through time, you will read certain passages in there, and you will not say, oh, I believe it. You'll say, I know it. I have had that experience. Nirvana, the state of the real self, the state of the imperishable, real, eternal you, was conjecture, theory, hypothesis for many, many years of study, of meditation, of discipline. And then eventually I had experiences that confirmed it, stepping outside of time. WTF, WTF, stepping outside of time. Sounds crazy, sounds completely impossible, but literally getting out of time. That is an experience that a commonly enlightened person should have. So therefore they can understand